What's going on, guys? I told you guys last time we were going to look at something a little bit more classic. And on this Legacy Power Ranger review, we have as classic as it gets. It's the original Megazord. Though not really the original. It is, of course, the limited black edition. Yay! Lots of words on this. Limited Black Edition Legacy Megazord. It's all good. And this guy apparently was an exclusive to the Toys R Us, just like the Black and Gold Dragonzord was. Now, I did get this from my good friend, Mr. 2Pro. He worked a little deal. And, yeah, so now I ended up with this guy because I needed it to, because I never had an original type Megazord at all. Have never owned one. This is my first one ever. And of course it is the black and gold version. I'm going to put my hands here so you can actually read those letters. Is that funny? That's how I can read that? I'll say right now, this is probably going to be a difficult review because the camera has a hard time with black and gold and chrome. It has a hard time focusing. So you get the cool silver and gold Mighty Morphin logo up here. Let me tilt up just a little bit. You got black and gold. Black and gold. Here we go. Black and gold premium diecast. Yay for premium diecast. Toys R Us exclusive. Yay for that. Image of the Megazord with big red eyes. Yay, red eyes. There we go. And all of these Zords down below. All with black and gold and red eyes. From Bandai.com. Ages 15 plus. Hey, I'm right in the middle of Mastodon. Okay. Come to the bottom. Shows you what all's in the box. Come to the side, you get the secret of the Power Zords. Same thing that we generally always see. Not going to bother. I'll leave it there so you guys can read it real quick. You read that. Okay. So, Megazord stats. You know I love these things. So you got height, 333 feet. Very specific. Weight, 172,000 pounds. That's incredibly heavy. Power, 50,000 megavolts. I don't know how they're measuring that. Weapon, titanium power sword, laser emitting eyes, mammoth shield, power punch missiles. Okay. Thunder cannons and pterodactyl chestplate. How is the chestplate a weapon? I don't remember. It's weird. And then, of course, you get different languages. Everybody loves languages. But here it actually converts it to kilograms. Yay for people overseas who don't go with the American system of measurement. It's all good. Black and gold Megazord. You get premium diecast. Things you can actually read because they're not in chrome. And of course they break down all the different Zords and point at them where they are in the Megazord. That's pretty cool. Megazord can attack or morph into you guys can read that. Because apparently I can't. And then of course you come to the bottom and you got Megazord plus Dragonzord plus Titanus equals a weird looking incongruent color Ultra Zord. Now, you guys know there's a new Titanus coming. You think it's convenient that I'm suddenly accumulating black and gold things? Yes, it will hopefully happen. And of course you got the story. Who cares? If you open up the box, we'll show off that real quick. I don't have anything in here, but you guys can see the crappy recycled cardboard stuff. So, cardboard top box, yay for that. And you have the places that all the things go. Now, realistically, I've never had this thing in the box, so I assume it was in Megazord mode for the most part, and then you had the spare bits kind of hanging out in all the other parts. Yay for that. Bags on the floor. Another bag on the floor. And instructions! Yay, we love instructions. Look at that. It looks cool because it looks like it's whipping out wires to grab it. Yeah, it shows you how to take it apart actually from Megazord mode. And then it shows you how to get all the Zords into their individual modes. But honestly, if you guys don't know how that is, well, you're going to find out anyways in this review. So, it is what it is. Let's get this guy out and look at it. Alright guys, now we've got all of the Dino Zords out here and broken down from Megazord mode because why would we start in Megazord mode? You got to start at the beginning and go outward from there. Now, if I recall, this thing is based off of the 10th anniversary edition, which eventually got redone again as the new Legacy Megazord. Somebody can fact check that for me. I'm sure I'll hear about it in the comments. But there's kind of a problem that we'll see in a little bit as to why using that mold instead of coming up with something new leads to some interesting issues. But for now, we're going to look at the different Zords as they are. So let's start out with the Mastodon. This thing is cool. I really dig it. Now, this one isn't too big of a stretch because it was already the black Zord. So making it all black, well, they didn't really change it. So, I mean, realistically, what they're losing was the gray feet and trunk and subbing gold that was silver and the red eyes. I think the original ones are yellow, if I recall correctly. But I do like it. Now, there's one thing that sucks about this, and it also comes down to the fact that it is the classic edition. Everything is stickers. Stickers and really badly plated metal. Whereas all the new stuff is really nice mold work, paint, and some very, very nice chrome. These things are not. So it is what they can do. You know, it's clearly been a long time since they made these things, and Bandai, really, seriously, make something better. And yes, if I can get a hold of the Solar Chogokin one, I'm going to do it because that thing's amazing. We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about this. So you've got Mastodon. You got the gold Tuskies right here. You've got the trunk that doesn't move, and that disappoints me. Because how hard would it have been to put a little hinge right there? You know, just a little hinge right there. You got all decent details here. Good sticker work. I will say the stickers are very nice. They are peeling a little bit in the places you would expect them to be peeling, and it is what it is. As for any articulation, the back legs move, but that's mostly for transformation. So it is what it is. So moving on. Mastodon, Pterodactyl. So the Pterodactyl is probably the second most disappointing one, I would say, out of all of them. Mostly because these wings are itty bitty. Look at that. They're so tiny. I mean, I think they should probably come out to about here. Maybe just a little bit more, something. Maybe they just need to be a little flatter or something. But they're so small. Like, that just gives it no kind of wingspan. Just ridiculous. And you guys will see that you have the feet of the Pterodactyl hanging off the bottom here, which, of course, come into play much later on, because they couldn't possibly be bothered to give you a stand for this. I'm sure if you've got something like a Tamashii effect stage, something like that, you could probably clip this on and make it fly around. But, you know, you get the nice details here, the gold chrome across here that normally be silver with some black work. They changed that up, of course. So one thing you're definitely going to see, everything is gold and black and red. That's anything that should be a different color is gold and black and red. So obviously all the red, the pink, the extra colors that would be on this are gone. You do get the red eyes and the gold detailing there. It's one of the few instances of actual gold paint. You know, I do like that. The feet do just pop right off. It do what it do. And now you've got the fun flying jet. Now, this was always one of the fun ones. I always liked flying toys, stuff like that. And the funny thing is that, you know, because this thing eventually, you know, I guess it doesn't eventually become the crane, but it, in the same aspect where the crane actually has an important part, this thing really reminds me of it. I like the crane from the Ninja Zord. I always liked the Pterodactyl, as it were, not just because the Pink Ranger was, you know, hot. Anyways, moving on. Now we'll do the Sabertooth Tiger, which I would definitely say is the third least good out of all these Zords. The amount of stickers is actually pretty impressive. Now, this almost looks like it says a word. So maybe it's supposed to, because it looks like it says sit. Am I the only one who sees that? I have no clue. But I like the fact, you know, they did the sticker work, but then they did some nice paint work up here. So I feel like they were like one step away from just painting this thing. You know, and as for articulation, the legs can sort of move back. They move forward, mostly. The head moves for transformation, and the little tuskies, teethies, saber-tooths move there. That nose, I think, is painted, yeah. So the nose is painted, the eyes are painted, then the head sticker here, stickers back here, stickers all around over here. And we get the die-cast metal tail, which is a huge disappointment, because this is a weapon. This is like a beam weapon. So you're supposed to be able to kick it forward and aim it, I guess, a little bit, but it's hollow. The sticker's peeling off of it because it's really rough cast metal. It's not great. I mean, this didn't need to be die cast. I would have said maybe the legs should have been die cast, something. And these legs, you know, you're supposed to see the wheels there. If I recall, the original one did roll. Even these big wheels up front would roll, and these back ones would as well. Back legs move, but only due to transformation. They're not going to help you at all in posing or anything like that. So this one is probably one of my least favorites out of all of them. So set it down. Go with Triceratops. And this one is so off weight, it's awkward. Like, just try to hold it in the middle and it just goes. The huge, thick, die-cast metal tail on it, and the whole thing is basically just hollow plastic with no weight up front. Now, the Triceratops tank was always one of my favorites. I loved it. Triceratops was always one of my favorite dinosaurs to begin with, but the blue Zord was always so cool. You can see here, it looks like it's got a TR, maybe it's a tri, I don't know, TP, I have no idea. You can see the tank treads are molded there. Wheels are molded in, but it doesn't have real wheels, so I don't know why they bothered. So sticker details on almost all of it. So down the side, around here, of course in the middle, which you never see that part because it's going to be covered up by this, so who cares. This part here is, you know, plastic, sticker. Of course it's plastic. Then you get the horns that are actually painted, possibly cast, not painted, okay. The details around the head are nicely painted, I will give it that. So all the way down here. So even though they did sticker up here, the gold around the sticker is actually painted. Okay, it took me a minute to really see that. Nice red eyes. The red eyes always make it for me, not gonna lie. But this thing, this is also its weapon, or one of its weapons, so you should be able to pull it up. And on the original toy, this would pivot so it could shoot missiles forward. But once again, it's this disappointing, hollow, solid metal cast, and I didn't think this was necessary, realistically. Now, the other die cast that comes up next on the Tyrannosaurus makes sense, but to put the die cast on this the way they did doesn't. And I get, once again, they're using an old mold and trying to adjust. That was loud. Okay, and now we will look at the pièce de résistance. I don't even know if that applies here, but hey. It's the T-Rex Zord, and this thing is by far the most disappointing of all. And it sounds like I'm really hating on this, but as it comes to it, the individual Zords are really lame. The Triceratops, the Mastodon are probably my favorites. They do what they do best out of all of them, because they're very simple, that's all they did. The T-Rex isn't a disappointment because, one, look at these itty-bitty arms. It literally cannot reach out past the girth of its own chest. I mean, a tiny elbow wouldn't have gone amiss. I mean, it is cast silver, painted gold. You do get some nice painted detail back here on the tail, much like the Dragon Zord, of course, in a much less good gold. You get some painted detail here on the little flip-flotty feet. The legs, along with the arms, are the most disappointing part about this, because, watch. These things are heavy die cast, and everything below it is what feels like cheap plastic. The T-Rex in the show didn't really lean that much. He stood up fairly straight, kind of how the Dragon Zord did. And in fact, in the show, they were essentially the same size, but, you know, they do things a little differently. So it should be standing up decently tall, where the tail is down. But to do this, to take it up one notch, it will not stand, period. Those feet are too weak to hold up the weight. So you have to have it in a leaning forward pose, which is not terrible. But if it weren't for the weight in the legs, it wouldn't stand. It just wouldn't. Now you can turn the head just a little bit like that due to some of the transformation. But something about the head, I don't know if it's the lower jaw, something just, it doesn't resonate with me. Something's just not happy about it. You do get some nice gold painted teeth. You get the flamethrower effect thingies inside there, though, you know, they could have really just molded it realistically. For as expensive as this thing is, they could have molded that in. You do get gold detail paint here, gold detail paint there, same thing up here, but you get the stickers across the chest and across the waist, all around there. Actually, I take that back. That's painted. It looked like a sticker. You get some gold paint back here. You get big old clippies here and here. And you get the giant Zord builder ports. This right here is the problem with these legs. If these Zord builder ports weren't here, or if they could hide up inside the thighs, maybe it would be something cool. I don't know. I mean, you get to decent detail down here on the feet. This thing is the most disappointing to me, because he'll either face plant all the time, or he's standing just awkwardly, and his front arms do nothing. Now, the T-Rex in the show had significantly longer arms and it could move them around. They were about out to here. Once again, the Soul of Chogokin fixes that. But this is not that, sadly. Now, let's set this back here. Now I'm going to go ahead and bring in their biggest competitor and friend at the same time. It's a Dragon Zord. And this right here is the main problem. While these Zords should roughly be this size to compare to the Dragon Zord, the T-Rex, at least scale-wise for the TV show, is supposed to be the same size. That is sad. That's barely 2/3. And I get, you know, scaling, whatever. They couldn't quite make that work. But that is just frankly embarrassing. But I just wanted to get that out of the way right now, because while this is awesome and new, these things needed to be updated so they compete with this, because it has to go with that. But let's move on. Then with the Dragon Zord out of the way, let's go ahead and get this thing into its first mode. And that will be the Megazord Battle Tank, or whatever they call it. So, real simple. You just flop the tail forward on the Triceratops. You take the Sabertooth Tiger, you flip the teeth up, just because. You make the front legs flat as you can, so it's Supermaning. You know, flip the back legs in, flip the tail up. Let me lay that down. Now we take the Triceratops. What? T-Rex? Wow. That's how angry I am. You flip the legs in so that the knees are doing that, and he's in a very squat position. Now you take the tail and just pop it loose. So it's funny, you pop the tail, the head flips open. That's not supposed to happen, it just does. So we take the legs, plug it right on in there. You know, you plug the T-Rex into the unfortunate zone on the poor other guys here. So we flip those arms up. Now you leave the T-Rex head alone. Take the Mastodon, yank his head off, like so. Flip these down. Split him open, like so. You're going to go ahead and rotate these things forward as such. Now, this thing actually becomes a problem because of the tail. But you take these big tabs, and they go into the clips that were on the back of the T-Rex. And you just clip it on. Real easy. And then you have the clips here and tabs here. And tab it on. Yay for that. Now you want these arms pointed forward, pretty much like this. And you take the feet of the Pterodactyl and feet. I hate calling them that. And you plug these on and they become the cannons for tank mode. Yay! Now, it's not done yet, because you take the head of the Mastodon, and this is something I think a lot of people potentially forget. You plug this right there, the handle, right there into the chest. Like so. And now he's got a mammoth crotch. Crotch head! And then finally, you take the Pterodactyl. Basically, you just stand her up and more or less prop it just like that. And that's no joke, you just prop it. There's nothing holding her on. And there we have the Megazord tank mode. It's silly, but it's cool. And realistically, it's hard to see everything because it's so black. But it does have some cool stuff. Now coming up close, you can just see, basically you get all of the same details that you had before, but now they're just piled on top of each other. And, you know, like I said, it looks cool. I mean, it plays well together, and of course, it is a quintessential mode of the Zords. And I was wrong, realistically. The tail of the T-Rex is more or less holding her in place, but it's still a delicate balancing act. The old school one had wheels that you could actually play with and roll this thing around, which is why it had wheels in the first place. But this one, sadly, does not. And now, let's go ahead and get this into its proper Megazord battle mode, if that's what they called it in the show. Real simple. Yank the Pterodactyl off. We're going to fold the head back. You gotta do that first. And then just fold in the silly little wings. Yay for that. And now we got that out of the way. Now we come up here, yank off these things. And we'll go ahead and stick them back here on the back where they belong. So they're back cannons now. I don't know if they ever use them while they're on the back. They would have to, bend over backwards, or forwards rather, for that. Yank off the mastodon shield, because as soon as the head comes off, it becomes a mammoth. Sorry, mammoth instead of a mastodon. So set that aside. Now we try to do the transformation that it does in the show, and we tilt it up on the heads of its feet, and that was not graceful, but hey, now he's taking a bow. And we'll go ahead and stand him up proper. The tail clips in. The arms will now rotate to reveal the fist, and you do have to tilt them in just a hair, and then they lock into place. You can't see that, can you? Now we rotate the arms down, and yay for Megazord shoulders, or somewhere in there. Now here's another part that I really don't like about this. So you pull open the chest, just as you should do. Now this should fold cleanly down into that hole. It does not. What you have to do is open the mouth, then it will almost cleanly fold in. So you got to open the mouth, get it down here, close the mouth, and then tuck the head away. It's so dumb. So you snap the chest closed. Now you've got the Megazord head right there. You take the Pterodactyl, place it right in there. You've got clippies on each side. Snap it in. And then you come in real close for the last bit. Lightning and everything. And spoof. Zoom out real quick. And then it comes to life. And then it becomes a man in a suit. Because that's what it do. And there we have that Megazord finally in its ultimate mode. And honestly, it's really hard to see any details because it's very black and very chrome. Now the Megazord, of course, does look really awesome, with the exception of a few parts that stand out probably a little much more than they should. Now, one thing I love about this guy, the sum is, it's more than just the sum of its parts. It is really, really cool. While you can see where all the individual Zords come into play, it's still something new. And you can also see all the sides of my review area. Now, I am noticing that I did not get the tail all the way clipped up. I guess I did. I've never noticed that you can totally just see it hanging out the bottom. But it is what it is. Now, you do get some nice detailed paintwork for the head. Although the eyes are nowhere near as bright as the rest of them, so they don't stand out. That kind of sucks. But I like the gold edging around here. That's just pretty. It does match with how it really, really should look, with the exception of silver. And I believe there should be another color up there. Red, I believe. Now, one thing I can't determine which way the shoulders should go. Like, flared all the way up, like so. Or just kind of down. I mean, I don't... Where's the box? The box shows them flared all the way up. For some reason, that looks like overkill to me. I don't know. What do you guys think? Now, the other thing, you do get the nice, heavy center section here with all the die cast right down the middle. The Megazord thighs look really good. The Megazord arms don't look as good. That's the problems I have. These huge, chunky die-cast arms that were part of the Mastodon. I really, really don't dig that, guys. And I think that's something they need to work on in the future. One, it makes them very heavy. Two, they're oversized for no apparent reason. Okay, now that we're back up to Megazord height, it does, of course, have its accessories. It does have the mammoth shield, because Mastodons die when you take their heads off, I guess, and turn into a different species. And this thing has the same problems the original one did. Limited articulation. So to hold the shield, he just droops it down like that. Yay. Or you turn it all the way to 90 degrees, and that's how he uses the shield. Because elbows can't work. So they really, really did capture the essence of Megazord in this thing, because the elbows don't work. The legs sort of work, but not really. He's got no knees. Megazords don't deserve knees. And of course, it does come with its last and most awesome accessory. Yeah, it's the power sword. It's a gold chromy power sword. Look at that. Perfectly molded. You got the cool lightning scrolly effect inside there. Look at the chrome, just it's beautiful. Look at that. You can almost see me in it. This thing is great. The only thing that sucks about this is it's not gold enough. I mean, this is dang near silver, you know? If they were going for gold, black and gold, they needed to make the gold stand out. I would almost say that this maybe had, like, if I didn't know it was already a dim color, because you can see it here in the stickers, I would say maybe it had too much sun exposure and everything got bleached. And it has the exact same problem that the original Megazord had. That's how it holds the sword. Yeah, look at that. Just stop. My sword will blind you. You can, of course, turn it just a little, and it can still sort of function like so. And I will say, when the Megazord is completed with all of its extra toys and stuff, it is very, very awesome. I do like it. The molds that it came from are the problem, not this one. You know, they did what they could with something that was not great yet, and compared to the rest of the Legacy line, is nowhere near on par. Speaking of the rest of the Legacy line, here we have it with its friend, the Dragon Zord. And you can see that the Dragon Zord is almost the same height, maybe just a tiny bit smaller. That's pretty to scale. I mean, if nothing else, it's really close, Megazord to Dragon Zord. I believe in the series, the Dragon Zord was probably at head height a little bit, almost dead on. But this is as close as they could get because this came out significantly after this. Mind you, of course, the black and gold really did, but just the standard Dragon Zord came out much, much later. And for another comparison, here he is with the Ninja Megazord, or Ninja Mega Falcon Zord, realistically. And you can see that, they're essentially the same height. I mean, he might be a hair taller here, but scale-wise, they do work. Now, mind you, with the Zord Builder ports, you could potentially do some interesting stuff here, because the shoulders here completely come off, and you can play around with it. Now, I'm not going to get into the Zord Builder silliness like I did last time, to be perfectly honest. It gets old for me. But if in your own head, just imagine these arms all being swapped, so this would have a little bit of extra color in it. And yeah, there's nothing you can do with the legs, because the legs don't exactly translate to frog. So let's move on. Now we've got our friend the Dragon Zord back out here, because I'm swapping things back and forth, guys. Now we're going to go ahead and get him into his alternate mode that we can finally show off. And we'll also show off some of the issues with this in the process. It's crazy. So go ahead and take off the Mammoth Shield. We don't need that anymore. Need to remove the Pterodactyl. We don't need that anymore. We're going to go ahead and steal the entire Mammoth off the back, which does tab in very, very well. Hide your tail. And we're going to yank off the legs. So we set the other Zords aside. Yay, 4 legs. Stay. Now, Dragon Zord time. We need Dragon Zord power! Okay, yank off the tail. Like you do. Man, it's on there. We're going to go ahead and open up the arms. Fold the hands away. Split the body. Ow! And get pinched in the finger, as usual. Go ahead and remove the core, the Dragon Zord core. Now, there's something that I didn't even notice. I was having issues with this guy last time I played with it. It would not tab together. This center tab right here does actually fold away, and I didn't realize that. So I couldn't figure out why the Dragon Zord itself was not working. Alright, so now we take the cool arm areas, and we make the new chest plate, like so. And that looks so beautiful, doesn't it? Take the legs, we're going to straighten those out. Pop all this up. Fold away the knees. If I can. And now we've got him ready for more Zords. So we take our Zords from the Megazord. We now have Zord Builder ports, like so. We give him some really awkward legs. It's weird, he's leaning forward a lot. Stay. Stay. And now we take the shoulders here. I do believe for this one you fold the things down. And we kind of place that here and clip the shoulders on. Man, that's just bouncing around, ain't it? Some minutes later. That's how you get it to stand straight up. Anyways, so we fold the face down. I guess I need to come up a little higher now. Fold the faceplate down, stand the thingy up there, and now we have the Dragon Zord battle mode, more or less, if that's what it's called. It's so cool. Now this was one of my favorite combinations as a kid, but with this thing, not so much. Now you can see a very obvious issue right down here. So the gap in the back of the foot is meant to be filled in by what the Triceratops has going on there. And the same thing with the Sabertooth tiger. Obviously, it does not even remotely do that. These legs are significantly small for this. The arms, well, they do what they can. Actually, this should probably... Yeah, I don't think they're out. I do believe they're supposed to be down, like so. Maybe like that, yeah. And actually, with the way my lighting is working, you can't see his face. So here, let me tilt back. There we go. But, I mean, this was one of the cooler modes that it could do. And it, of course, got the big weapon made from Dragon Zord parts. And a mysterious stand that comes from nowhere. Which the stand probably comes from the same place that the power sword does. Which, did you guys know, just randomly, that the power sword was actually orbiting Earth at all times? I didn't know that. Let me scooch that back, so now we can see the weapon, the biggest weapon on Earth, actually being held by its proper Zord. Now, this thing does have to be angled down slightly to go into the hand. But there we have the Dragon Zord battle mode. While it looks good, I do believe that the Megazord parts are failing it. They're just not big enough. The legs are just a little too small. The arms are just a little too small. It is what it is. This mold for this Megazord was not made to go with everything else in the line. They just made do. And we're going to see that a little bit more in the next mode. Alright, and just to skip a whole lot of transformation we didn't need to see, when I got the Megazord back in its mode, and the Dragon Zord is more or less in this. So, we're going to go for Mega Dragon Zord mode, which is basically 2/3 of the way to Ultra Zord. Really simple kind of preparation for this. You just take the shoulders, flop them down. You take the horns, you fold them back. Make sure everybody's happy there. Now the Dragon Zord, you want to split everybody back down the middle. Go ahead and tab the arms back together. Tuck the face away because it's not useful here. Split it down the middle again. Now this is probably where this tab can just fold away. Now there's a couple things that are really horrible about this. Trying to get the head through this hole is terrible. Trying to get these tabs, these clippies, around the shoulders, also terrible. But we're going to do what we can to make it work, guys. I'm also going to have to fight these legs a little bit, I think. But we'll get there. So, the way it should work, if it worked nicely, which I already know it doesn't, you go ahead and you take the whole thing. Actually, yeah, I'm going to do it with the legs on there, just to show how difficult it is. So, it does not want to fit down over the head at all. So, I think the proper way to go, to tuck the horns in the back around it, just like so. And it sort of just falls into place, realistically. Now, where did those clips go? See, I think that should be farther forward, or the clips are not out. Okay. So, this is very undignified. Okay, so you pull these clips out. And originally, I pushed them down and over the shoulder. I want to see if it works better this way. Now, mind you, you don't need these, but they're part of the official way to do this. So, you kind of mess with it. Okay, let me see here. The other thing is, oh, there's the problem. It isn't down all the way. those horns need to come through the back of the helmet a little bit. Yeah, see, that's not getting down where it needs to. And yeah, this is the main problem with this whole setup. It just does not work. See, this clip right here is supposed to tab in back there, just like it did in the Dragon Zord. So getting this guy completely in mode is very difficult, guys. I'm not joking when I'm struggling with this. Some minutes later. This is literally just there. And I guarantee you that scraped something. So now that tab is in place. Whoop-de-doo. You can tab the tail back on there. Okay. Now my biggest worry is that the paint on the helmet there is getting scratched the entire time you're doing that. Now I was going to play with these tabs, the extra tabs here that would clip on right there. I'm not going to. I'm just going to leave it. It's fairly well secured like that. Now in doing all that, the Dragon Zord legs kinda fell out. You guys know these legs are very heavy, and that certainly happens. Now I think you're meant to turn them up a little bit like this, because otherwise they're just going to flop back down on themselves. So that's what you're going for with Mega Dragon Zord. And yeah, that's a ton of weight. You can see it's leaning forward. These things are heavy die cast. Everything up here is heavy die cast. Some of this, no, it's just plastic. I thought it was die cast. But either way, it's leaning forward. Now I do believe there's a fix that comes with Titanus that actually, you know, boosts the legs, gives it a lot more strength to hold all of that weight up. But this is the Mega Dragon Zord. Now you can, of course, if you really want to, add the big old weapon. The shoulders do actually still rotate in this mode somehow, if just barely. So you can use the big ridiculous drill weapon in this mode if you really want to. If I can actually get him to hold it. There we go. It worked better on my end table. Now in the show, I don't believe he actually uses this. He uses his, the shoulder missile pods here and the big energy weapon from the Z's. The shootout. But that's pretty much it. And the Megazord head is so hidden back there, you really don't even know it's there. He also doesn't ever use the power sword in this mode. Kind of sad. But it is what it is. And that's going to be the end of this review, guys, because I'm not going to sit here and try to take it out of this mode. It is just ridiculous. And just as much struggle and effort as goes into that, it's such a pain. It really is. But I will say, if you have to have it in your collection, by all means, get it. It is the original Megazord. Of course, in this case, it's the black and gold version. Oh yeah, look at that. It's pushing the Pterodactyl off. Can't even get it to clip into place. Wow. It is definitely flawed. It's an old design, it's an old model, and it needs to be replaced by something newer. And the Soul of Chogokin version, as far as I know, does not integrate with any of these. I wish it did, because that would actually be pretty epic. So if even you could take this Dragon Zord and sit it on top of that Megazord, it would be amazing. But I doubt they went that far. But it doesn't matter. Like I said, if you're a fan of the original Power Rangers like I am, you have to have it. And this is 2/3 of the way to finally having my own Ultra Zord, and that's why I have it. And of course I thank my good friend Mr. 2 Pro for basically allowing me to have this. Of course, like I said, wheeling and dealing, but I got it, and I'm happy. And Squishy, you don't get to play with this Megazord, okay? No. He's going to fall over, and I'm going to be really angry at you, so no. Oh, I guess realistically, I didn't really get to bring in Wally here. Sorry, Wally, I almost finished the review without introducing you to the big old Mega Dragon Zord. There you go. That's your scale. That's your sense of scale, guys. That's your Mega Dragon Zord. Alright. If you're new to the channel, like and subscribe. Check out the other Power Rangers Legacy playlist. They're all over the place, guys. And check out the Shoky Quickies, everything. I do all kinds of fun, nerdy stuff here. And hopefully I will be doing more fun, nerdy stuff in the future, thanks to you guys. And remember, as always, keep on nerding.